Hey, coming up on today's podcast, we got a couple of special guests from the EV space of the automotive industry. We had a good friend of ours introduce us to these guys. You're going to like the show today. You're going to want to listen today. So all of that and much, much more is going to be coming up right after this. Hey, everybody. Welcome into the podcast, The Counter Show. Oof. We had that trouble again there, Keith. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
It's not me.
It's not you. Is it me? Are you sure it's me?
I don't know. It's the software.
What?
I promise I moved the slider down and it just doesn't. It just waits and then it goes.
Oh, okay. So you can fix that in post, though, right?
Sure.
Yeah, right. So anyway, guys, as I said in the beginning of this podcast, we got two guests today from Ruined EV, who are an interesting couple of guys. They've got something cool that's going on out there. It's a first for us to see what they are doing. It's a first for us to really kind of dig into their brains and find out what they're all about and what the future holds for custom EVs.
Can I bring them in? Is it time now?
If you want to.
Can we go?
Yes.
You ready? Are you ready?
Welcome in, everybody.
All right, here we go. You ready? Here they are.
Hey, AJ, CJ, how are you guys doing today?
Keith, Jay, what's going on? How are you guys?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you bet.
Guys, yeah.
You bet. So, gosh, we're excited to have you guys on the show today. We're excited for you guys to be able to put out there for everyone what you're all about, what you're doing, what's coming up, and what got you into this thing.
Yeah, can I set this up a little bit? I think I have a...
Do you?
I might have a little story here.
Okay, let's go.
So we were talking to Neil, mutual friend, director of Electrify Show Off, and I think it was during a previous podcast he mentioned you guys, and he said, "You're gonna love the name because you'll instantly get it," and we did, and so at least the ruin part, right? Because you guys do, and I'm gonna open this up and let you explain, because you'll explain better than we do what you guys do. But you have ruined in the title, and I freaking love this, man. So tell us what you guys do, and then I think our audience will get why that's such a clever title.
Yeah, great. So again, thanks for having us. Ruined, man, we started back in 2019. So obviously I think, the first Tesla Model 3s I think came out in 2018, 2017.
Yeah, end of 2017.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And, brand new platform, at a cost that was great for everyday people to get. And, we started off as like just a few people on Instagram who were trying to put air ride and an air suspension, right, on a Model 3. And there was no kits out there or anything like that. So we were all working together to figure out how to do it. And we didn't know if we were going to ruin the cars or not. So, it's funny, like that theme has kind of continued on as we, kind of now that kits are out and things like that, the group in itself is consistently pushing the boundaries and the limits that these cars have. And there are times where we don't know if the car's going to work after we do what we do to it. So we're ruining the cars. Who knows?
I mean, I love that. No. And, I see this as a kind of badge of honor. You get the window decal or the sticker. And it's like, yeah, man, I ruined my car.
Yeah,
like
but you know what, though, man? I mean, for me, when you're spending all that kind of money and the wife's back there going, what are you spending all this money on? It's got to be ruining some relationships too, man. Am I right?
You're definitely right.
DJ and I have like a running joke on the inside. In case our wives are watching, we won't say what it is, but who knows? And it's funny. We also we kind of like joke around with any new members who join. We're like, yeah, get ready for your bank account to get ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because
that's great.
Yes, you've gotten your car to a certain point, and then after you come in and see what everyone's doing, you're going to want to do more and more, right? So
yeah. Which you guys are kind of living examples of that. I think there's some growth going on here. I have a pitch for you guys. Okay. The room gets dead silent.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a tough crowd.
Keith's ideas.
So, as you continue to grow and as you continue to branch out, you should consider, now just hear me out here. You should consider the off-road space and like trucks with lift kits and stuff. And as a sort of affiliate brand, you can go with Runt.
What is that?
That's the southern chapter, man.
So,
Yeah, it's how they say ruined in the South.
Oh,
It's Runt.
Runt. Yeah, that's pretty
love it.
funny. That's
I love
clever.
I love it.
Well,
That's pretty clever, actually, Keith. So
that
I mean, come on, man. You know those guys with the no offense to our
CJ
friends
got
with
it.
the lift kits.
Yeah,
CJ got it.
Right?
CJ must be affiliated with some folks in the South. You've heard that word before, huh?
I definitely have. Yeah. I even have some friends here that think they're from the South and they talk like that. So.
That's funny.
I'm just saying, it sounds kind of ridiculous now, but you never know, man.
Right.
That's funny. I've never heard that. I'm originally from Texas, so
really?
I've never heard that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Runt. That's pretty. I've heard my dad say that many a time. So I'm from the Southeast, so I've that's a very familiar term to me. So because I've ruined a few things, man. But
Keith actually brings up a good point, right? Like the off-road space. So.
No. I'm not here to add value to the conversation. I just interject. Sorry. No, go ahead. Yeah. Off-road. Yes.
Yeah.
Please
so,
continue.
like kind of getting back to Ruin and where we started and kind of where we're going, right? Is, we started off as that small group just trying to help each other out. As like builds started to come around Tesla's, it kind of became like a really like, I don't want to say elite, but like a very close-knit, like hard to get in group. Just on Instagram. And then as like the car shows and the events started to accept having EVs at their events, kind of turned into a show team that went nationwide. And then we brought 13 cars to SEMA last year, a couple of the year before. And then CJ and I realized like, hey, the EV space is a lot greater than just what's going around with Tesla, right? It's all the other OEMs, right? Like seeing Neil's Fords are amazing. His truck and his Mach-E, absolutely crazy, right? Seeing BZ's Porsches in the Toyo booth over there. It's like,
and you got VW doing vans, and you got the Scout that's coming out that's going to be all electric. That VW's also VW. This program is sponsored by Volkswagen. Everybody,
plus all the conversions.
But it's
all the conversions that are out there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
nobody's getting into this. I mean, what I don't know, you guys. This is a complete like I don't know what you guys were thinking. Nobody's getting into the EV space.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me though is that when we met Neil back at SEMA, Keith and I were just both blown away with the availability of certain custom components for him. For that F-150 Lightning specifically. But when you guys started out, it had to be kind of limited as far as what was available to you, right? So you were kind of like, like rubbing sticks together to try to make stuff work, right?
Yeah. I mean, like the group started on a bunch of DIY guys. We're all car guys first. We all came from either the Euro scene or the JDM scene. So most of us had experience ripping cars apart and, doing custom stuff, installs, you name it. So there wasn't a lot that was out there. I mean, there was a few aftermarket body kits that were out there. The fitment wasn't the greatest. A lot of AliExpress parts, fake stuff, fake carbon parts. So it was very, very limited. So guys are trying to get custom. Like you could really show your creativity during doing like your air suspension installs. But now it's a totally different game. I mean, there's so many companies out there that have EV parts, body kits, full interior stuff, exterior. There's even companies that tune the cars now. So
right.
It's completely different from 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Absolutely. By the way, guys, I have no idea what has just happened to Keith. He's completely gone off the radar here, but that's fine. We can keep this show going here. Look, man,
it's what happens when you ask what could possibly go wrong right before you start recording.
You may need to switch the screen there again, and that
on.
Might help.
I'm going to figure out whatever's going on with my situation here.
Right.
Jay, you got this, my brother.
I do.
Oh, look,
I do.
It's fixed.
Yeah, just like that. So, within an organization like this, to try to kind of figure things out collectively as a group, as members, you obviously share across the board all of the things that you've learned, that you're doing, that you want to do, which helps kind of increase that membership base. I would have to think as well, but it also increases the need for more people out there, more companies to come and develop product for you guys in a niche, really for Tesla, for the Teslas, what you started with. Now you're going to be going into other things. So I guess my question from that is, now you have more and more people involved. I see that you have on your website several brand partners, and I'm going to try to read a few of these off, like Intuitive. Intuitive is one. You've got, and I think I'm going to say this correctly, CJ Customs. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's actually my company. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that what it could be. You got Teslux and then Adro, and all of those are on board with you guys as brand partners, but they're in that space of customization, and they have been. Tell us about CJ. Tell us about that one.
My company?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just started off, and, I've always been working on cars my whole life, but I really just kind of explored the option to take advantage of it when the Tesla came out. So there wasn't a lot of people doing work on Teslas. Most people were scared to touch the things. And back in the early days, I could see why, because you take it apart and you put it back together again, and it doesn't work for whatever reason. It's usually a 12-volt issue. But I kind of went beyond that, and besides just doing the basic body kit installs and that, I was getting with the custom stuff. So if someone wanted a dope like air suspension display with hard lines and lighting and stuff like that, that's usually what I would specialize in. So I've done a number of builds. I've done a few SEMA builds for cars that aren't Teslas. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how that started. I'm still doing that now. I sell parts as well, but it's mainly just that person who wants something different with their setup. It's something that they can't just buy. They have to have it actually custom made. So that's kind of where Siege Customs came into play. And
Siege.
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's Siege. Yeah, most people say it's CJ, but yeah, it's technically Siege. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a very nice professional way of correcting Jay.
Well, I saw him chuckling when I said it, but I
love
knew
it,
there had to
man.
be a connection there somewhere.
I'm learning so much here. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. I'm back, guys, by the way.
I see you, Keith, and hear you much better than we did earlier. So, did you guys represent at the DC show? At Electrify Expo? How'd that go for you guys?
Oh, there.
Exactly.
What? Wait, what?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, no, DC was great. It was a little bit of
that bigger.
A little bit of a smaller event than what I've heard around Long Beach and then San Fran. Obviously on the East Coast, EV adoption is still kind of on the up and coming, especially in kind of the modified world. We did end up bringing, I think, 7 or 8 cars. We hooked up with a really cool dude, Blake, out of his shop is Twisted Voltage, out in DC, and he does all custom EV swap Beetles.
Nice.
Yeah, really sick car. Had a chance to meet him. We're in talks around him potentially like representing the brand a little bit more and things like that. But otherwise, like, great turnout. The vibes and the fun were still there. I think as the same as any other show off or expo. We also introduced our first foray into custom e-bikes with a Super 73 that I built. Yeah.
Oh man.
Luckily,
this is my new BFF right here.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't know how. Like, DC was amazing. The first night of Expo, they hooked up with a local group called DC Eastgate. And they organized like 100-person like electric mobility ride all through DC for like 20 miles. Went to all different stops. Absolutely amazing. I love that culture. I'm in now, and like I can't wait to get into it a little bit more. So I'm honored to have taken like best e-bike at that show, because I was like, I just put this thing together. We need to we actually have some brand partners in that space that we are working with, and we need to talk some more. I'm doing the One Wheel thing, and it's kind of similar. They have it's a culture, man. It's like
you just go on rides, and it's cool that they're organizing these around those event dates. So what's that? Before we move away, the award behind you, what is that? Tell us what that is. What you won?
Yeah, so Ruined as our East Coast Northeast chapter, we took home 10 awards out of I think 20 or so. So the ones behind me are best of show, best crew, best sedan, best e-bike, and best wheels.
So you forgot one. The award for the most modest announcement of cleaning house. You got like half the awards you went home with, man. Nice job.
Thanks. We have New York next week, so we'll see what happens there.
You guys are okay. So, and I've got the dates up here. The Electrify Expo, and you can see some of the crew at New York. You guys may or may not be there individually in person, but New York is August 12th and 13th. I had the location of that one. Let's see if I can get it quickly.
That's
Nassau Coliseum, I believe, in Long Island.
Yeah, there you go. Nassau Coliseum. Thank you. And then Seattle, September 9th and 10th, which you guys are probably not going to be at. Is that still the case?
We won't be there, but we're going to have at least 5 to 6 cars that will be there representing Ruined.
We will.
Is it possible? Make sure we know who they are. And let's get some contact, and we want to go over and talk to those guys over there.
We'll send you a social post in front of your own cars.
Yeah, exactly. We'll call you out. Are you doing Miami?
Yeah, so Miami is October 14th and 15th. I will see you guys there. I worked out a kind of situation with our family vacation so that I'm going to slide down to Miami for that show. And then the last one is in Austin, November 10th and 10th through 12th. Wow, I should just not, you guys got this. I'm out.
So for those of you out there listening or those of you watching, you can go to electrifyexpo.com and you'll find out everything you need to find out there about where they're at. And you want to
Now, are you guys going to have anything at the Austin show?
Oh, yeah. That's going to be the biggest one for us. So we're doing the West Coast crews going out, the East Coast crews going out. So
and that's at COTA. That's at Circuit of the Americas racetrack.
Yeah. So we're planning on having at least, I'd say, 15 to 20 cars. And then the members that can't get their car out there, they'll most likely just, fly out, because we're going to have our end of the year party out there anyway. So we're just going to make a whole weekend out of it.
We'll be
a party. I just heard party. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
We'll be in, and you guys are not going to SEMA this year, correct?
We're going to have members that are there, but AJ and I are not going to be there. We actually gave up our booth spots for Expo instead. So we're kind of committed to the whole Expo tour this year. That's why we're focused on taking best crew at all 7 stops. That's kind of the goal that we have.
This is
not the first time we've heard this.
This is great.
And I don't, for what it's worth, interesting. Because you're not alone.
It's such a dramatically growing sector of the industry, man. I mean, I jump on it while you can, so I totally get it. I am a little disappointed because I won't be at any of the shows that you'll be at, so I guess I'll have to wait and meet you in person maybe next year on the tour. But and
I can bring a little cardboard cutout of you with me. Jay.
A fat head. Give me a fat head.
I'll sit around and talk and have you. I can do some pre-recorded drops.
Right.
Just
I think
Jay-isms that.
I'll head out there for a couple of days for SEMA, but not with the car, just to check it out.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll be there.
Well, we should. Yeah, we should definitely. I don't know. Do something together.
For sure.
Content. There's always It doesn't matter if it's on camera or off. I think. Yeah.
Exactly. I might have to have Neil call my wife and tell her that I got to go work at SEMA.
It's an emergency.
Yeah.
We really need him, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So, speaking of your memberships, okay, how many do you have in your overall right now, total membership?
So we have total members. We have 65, but only about 40 of those are active members. So either a lot of members either moved out of country or they've sold the car or the car's been retired or whatever. So we have about 40 that are active. So that means.
So what? Go ahead. That means
active. Basically, we define that as
bad interviewer skills.
As going to shows. Active on the social media platforms. That's kind of what we consider active.
If somebody wants to become a member, what steps do they need to take?
Well,
yeah, so there's an application process on our website. Really for Teslas, we've become a lot more strict. In the past, it was like you just had to be bagged and maybe a nice set of wheel, like a clean set of wheels, and you're in. That has consistently grown to becoming more difficult and more difficult to start to weed out, different cars. So it's for Teslas now. It's really, you have to have something that's custom, and that really makes your build not just a typical kind of off the shelf parts build that a lot of Tesla owners have. So it has to be something really custom, or something that just stands out.
So serious warranty voiding here, not just light warranty voiding, right?
Car has
Just
to
to be
be
clear
ruined.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gotta be ruined.
That's
There
it.
you go. Yeah. Well played.
Yeah.
Well played.
And then
sir.
so if
And I was gonna say, as we move into like the other EVs, right? We have a couple of other EVs already. We have a Mach-E. We've got I don't know what kind of car the Conductive Classics car
It's
is.
a Ford Galaxy.
Galaxy. Ford
okay.
Galaxy.
wow.
Oh,
Okay.
right. You guys mentioned that to us when we talked originally, and I was fascinated because that was my first car as a 16-year-old. Yeah, I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, he'll
it's
be
a
in
beautiful-
Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, perfect. I'm glad we planned that.
And so for someone to join, if they want to see if they meet the criteria, they just go to your website and just contact you that way and then go through the process.
Yeah, it's kind of like filling out a car show form. So they'll put all their mods, their contact information, they'll upload pictures of their car. And then we have a panel, like our leadership panel will review each car, and we all kind of use our own input to almost score it as if it were at a car show.
Right.
And then we average out the scores. And then if it meets a certain threshold, then, we get to know them a little bit more. And if, obviously the person being the most important piece of it, right? Like, are you a good person?
Right.
Then yeah, we'll bring you in.
Gotcha. And you got some changes to your the face a little bit. We were speaking off camera before we started. So the website they would go to now would be what?
So the site you're going to go to starting probably next week is going to be ruin.cc.
Okay.
And by the time this podcast airs, both on the video side and on the audio side, I'll bet you guys will have that up. And we can probably coordinate that to make sure it comes out coincidentally right about the same time your new website hits. It's a good thing we planned that. Yeah, so ruin.cc.
Awesome. Okay.
Sorry, CJ. Did I cut you
No,
off?
no,
I didn't mean to.
Nope, not at all.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're rebranding, right? So as before, it was like Ruin Tesla. We're Ruin TC, based off of what we learned at SEMA. There's a lot more to the EV space.
Shoot.
We want to be involved in that. We want to be involved in the e-bikes, e-motorcycles, right? Everything that's part of like that really cool culture. Bring it all together and be brand partners, and
So
companies. Yeah.
I'm not going to hold you to this, but since you did the Super 73, is it possible in the future if somebody wanted to ruin a different kind of an e-bike, or if I wanted to ruin my one wheel, or could that potentially be considered for membership? Or does it have to be a four wheels?
Yeah, so absolutely not. Yeah, totally. We just CJ and I met yesterday with a big Super 73 influencer, actually an e-bike influencer. His name's Shreddy McSkate. Really cool dude. Got a chance to meet him out in DC. He's all about it. He's got a great YouTube channel. He wants to be part of it, and I don't think CJ knows. Keith, you might know. I'm sorry, Jay, you might know. Have you ever heard of a guy named Javier? He's a big one-wheel influencer. He's planning a whole trip to cross the country on a one-wheel.
I'm betting Keith has.
Oh,
Let's
Keith,
see.
yeah.
Honestly, we get each other confused all the time, AJ.
But
I'm serious. Yeah. I'm like, did you
Keith's-
say that or did I? It's,
Keith is like, I mean, if it's got a wheel on it, man, he's riding it. It doesn't matter if it's a one wheel, four wheel, six wheel. It doesn't matter. He's on it. Just to try it.
basically, if it scares my wife and looks
Yes.
dangerous, it's
I'm doing it.
kind of. And then having a 13-year-old and that sort of, you see there's things you want to pass along and there's things you try not to, and yeah. So anyway, I'll. So are we talking about Javier Starks?
Yeah.
Is that the guy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So had a great chance to meet him as well at DC and loved his vibe. And so he actually just messaged me yesterday. He goes, "Man, I think you're gonna make me get a Super 73." And I just started laughing. Right? I was like, That's what we do. We ruin
Right.
wallets.
Yes. See,
Um,
I mean, that's such a perfect name.
Yeah, so like he wants me to help him design and build a bike with him. And he's a big one wheeler. I think the guy who did my custom metal wide body is going to do some custom stuff for his one wheel. And then we're going to build that bike, and we're going to talk more about it at New York, and I'm excited. Like he's all about representing the brand too. So
Hey Jay, in case any of our brand partners are listening or watching, did you hear that these guys are getting into mod custom bikes and
I heard
potentially
that. Yeah.
taking on projects to
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay, sorry. Oh, whoops! Did I say that out loud? My bad, guys.
yeah, we actually just partnered with Jackrabbit Bikes as well.
Okay.
So I think we have
Yeah.
like 7 or 8 different members purchase bikes with them, and we're going to build them, right, to showcase the aftermarket for that
So-
as well.
Do you have a? So I'm a huge e-bike fan too, and shocker, and so do you have a preference over kind of the rear hub design where it's power from the rear wheel versus getting power from the crank? And is it like sort of you don't care, you'll just mess with anything, or what's your?
I'm just learning right now how to mess with these things. So
Okay.
I know CJ hasn't really gotten into it yet. His Jackrabbit's coming soon, but
I just got it today.
Dude,
I just got it.
It is gonna
Yeah.
change. You're gonna be just
Yeah.
We need to have you guys on again. When we're at the show or when the next time we're together. I can't wait to get your kind of like the now versus then. That's your first e-bike, right? The Jackrabbit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us got the Jackrabbit because it folds nicely and you can actually fit it into your car. So we could take these to the car shows, and then we could have a modified e-bike next to our modified car. So it's kind of like the best of the best, And we're at the show all day long. Might as well be riding around doing something cool,
Yeah,
it's
what
so
a weird it's so funny that
so funny, man. It's
sorry.
I thought
these are things we've been preaching forever, you guys, and it's like, yes.
wasn't this
we
stuff
love it.
wasn't this stuff supposed to be taking jobs or something? Like getting rid of
Okay. Don't stir it, don't
No.
yeah.
So, guys, back to the customization side of this, as far as components that are available to you. When you started versus now, do you find that that it's an exponential growth in regards to what's available to you now versus, say, 2 years ago?
Absolutely. I mean, you can get a kit now. Like I'm referring to like Air Ride. You can get that like anywhere now for. There's probably 5 or 6 different companies that make it. Wheels. You can get all different kinds of wheels for them. Ultimately the car is the same, right? As a regular car, other than the powertrain. And body kits. There's so many body kits now, and all this things like it's grown so much now to where. When I wanted to go wide body, I knew that if I went wide body, everybody else is going to go wide body as well, because that's how it kind of went with air suspension. It just kind of became the thing to do for Tesla. So I was like, I can't do that. I was like, I can't get any of these kits. So you have to go custom, right? So that you can be the only one with it. And that just shows how much the industry's grown in terms of the aftermarket space, right? Is that in order to be different, you can't just go and buy something because there's so much available.
Right. I love it. I think it, Keith, one of our favorite things is Innovator Go Home. Bottom line. And this is a perfect.
Well, my favorite thing to do is to try to pull you off topic in the middle of a podcast, and see how many curveballs I can throw at you while in front of a live guest, and But that my other favorite thing is Innovator Go Home.
Right. Yes, that is the truth. So, speaking of collisions,
hold on one second.
Big
Hold on.
wrecks,
Did you guys have any idea when we talked about this in advance that it was going to be kind of this this kind of a mix?
I love it. I'm all about
All right.
You guys are hilarious. I love it.
Well, the bottom line is, man, is if you had definitely caught us at our initial timing, I was probably going to be having some adult beverages around somewhere, but it's a little too early in the day for me today. So
we started way more buttoned up, I think, right, than we are today 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
we
I think
were
so.
pretty buttoned up, and I think we kind of just went, man, people don't. You got to just be you, and so I don't
just
know.
have
And
fun
me
with
is basically just throwing darts at Jay all day. That's it. Anyway,
Well, this is yes,
good
too
innovator.
because you know what? We're trying to start a ruined online magazine kind of thing for like parts reviews and stuff like that, and like featuring certain builds and stuff like that. And I'm learning a ton from you guys. I'm sure CJ's picking it up as well. So,
Well, we would love to be part of that at some point when you get there.
I just can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Keith had a question, and I really like this question. He asked, do you have a good horror story that you can tell us? A mod story or something that went wrong through one of your builds that really has kind of haunted you, or really kind of turned out to be a good mistake, maybe?
Yeah, everybody loves dirty laundry. It's, I don't know. I mean, you can't have the name ruined, or you can't have ruined in the name and not have some good ruined stories, right? What's one that like that you're able to tell that won't get anybody sued?
CJ, you want to go first?
I mean,
Wait, there's a list?
No, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
so I mean, I definitely have a few because I've taken the car apart so many times doing all the custom work. And it all comes back to usually 12-volt issues. So I'll give you an example. When I was at SEMA last year, I was running all my lighting for like 4 days straight. And I came back to the car on the last day, and my car was completely dead. I couldn't even get into it. It was completely dead. Doors wouldn't work, nothing, right? Completely dead. So meanwhile, I'm freaking out. I'm like, how am I going to get into this? Do I have to break a window? What am I going to do? Luckily, my hood was propped open a tad. So that saved me because I could have access to my 12 volt. Now, there's still a way to get into the hood without, with the 12 volt, but still. I ended up just swapping the 12 volt out, and I was good to go. But going beyond that, like I have so many accessories hooked up that there's so much battery drainage, right? And the good thing about the Tesla is it's one giant battery. So it actually is going to draw power from that main pack to recharge a 12 volt. So lesson learned is put everything on switches and relays. So now I have a full custom made switch panel that I have in my center console, and everything is on its own switch and relay. And ever since I did that, I've been 100% good.
So this brings up another interesting question that, Jay and I have probably thought about, but not really like vocalized, which is, I sort of grew up. I've had tech trade jobs where I've taken cars apart, and there's things that you worry about. And if it's electrical, back then it was, well, stay away from the restraint systems, don't jack around with that airbag and make sure so that it deploys or whatever. But because of the battery technology, at least for now, it seems like the risk of fire would be a much higher concern. And I mean, I guess the question for really either of you is is there a heightened risk of fire in working on these than there would be on a traditional automobile? Like, is that potentially a big deal?
I mean,
my opinion, no. I mean, if you think about it, right, a regular car is internal combustion engine, so there's fire going off literally in the engine.
Yeah, but not when it's off, right? Those batteries are always live.
Right. But I mean, the car is still connected to a battery.
That's true.
So
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's magnified. Yeah, I think it's magnified, the fires, in the EVs. I think it's just more magnified in media versus reality.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that either. Based on what I've seen statistically, it's not as widespread as the media likes to portray it to be. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what agenda is going on there anyway when they put those stories out. But it's no doubt I've seen
there are car fires every day in internal combustion engines on the side of the road.
I have bore witness to a 65 Mustang that had an intake, brand new carb setup put on it, and the guy left the shop, and we get a phone call 15 minutes later. It's completely engulfed in flames. And it was a defective carburetor. And, when it drained down on the exhaust manifold, it caught fire. And, what do? Guy didn't have an extinguisher, so He sat there and watched his beauty just go up in flames, and he actually sued the manufacturer of the carburetor for that and won in court because it had a shelf life. It had a shelf sticker on it for its, how long it's been on the shelf, and as you guys know, they're full of all kind of gaskets and things that can go bad over time on the shelf, and that's exactly what occurred. They should have rotated the stock, and they didn't. But anyway, it cost them somewhere in the neighborhood of around $80,000 for that replacement. Yeah. So anyway, so things can go wrong, yes, Keith, with internal combustion engines as well as EVs. I don't think the battery influences that risk that much anymore. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I have been wrong before. Ask my wife.
Yeah, I don't think I've had really any horror stories. I did a pretty big audiophile system in my car, and I was worried about errors and things like that. And you can't just hook up the audio system to the 12 volt. Luckily, this amazing artist of an audio builder down in Delaware, Matt Schaefer. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's like I guess in the industry, the audio industry's always like top 1 or 2 audio builder in the world in terms of like awards and stuff. He's like Tesla electronic master, so he knew everything. So it's like I think really like my biggest horror story was my car wasn't wet sanded for SEMA. It wasn't cut and buffed. Like the car was painted like 2 days before it had to get on the truck to go to Vegas. So there were some drips in the clear coat and stuff like that. So, but
yeah, I worked in body for a while, man, and I get it. I totally get it. That makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So, I want to know, how do you feel with the automotive industry changing every day? Obviously, where do you see, from a percentage wise, what do you think? Where do you think EVs will fit into the overall picture in 5 years? Where do you see us sitting in 5 years with EVs?
And remember before you answer that, AJ, that there's been some, like in the past 2 weeks, Ford pulled back pretty hard on, I don't know if you know this or not, but they said we tried to be like Tesla too much, and it cost us, what was it, Jay, like over $1 billion?
Yeah.
And so they've had to, kind of sales have slowed and all that. So I'm just saying, just keep in mind current events, and now go ahead.
Yeah, I think Expo is doing a great job in terms of getting people behind the wheel, because I think really that's where people can understand like why EV. But again, like CJ and I are car guys. I hope that like by the time my next car, like the time for me to purchase another car comes around, I'm hoping I could still get like a combustion port, like a
Yeah.
just like kind of like manual, right? Manual versus automatic.
Yeah.
I don't want it to go away.
Right.
But I mean, I hate going to the gas station. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
For a lot of reasons.
There will be more. I mean, Tesla, even though, like they opened up their entire charging network recently, right, to all the different manufacturers, which is going to be, I think, is a big step forward into, getting more EV adoption. They're talking about licensing like their software and stuff like that. I mean, if they start giving away like their technology, or at least licensing it out, or even becoming a manufacturer for these other companies, right?
Yeah.
Because they have that whole factory stuff all figured out. It could drive a lot of adoption, but
well,
I
think about it from standards, right? So you have, we're all old enough to, remember, like I've seen changes at the fuel pump over my lifetime, like just, in the sort of reclamation technology that they put on them now for exhaust and whatnot, and the safety stuff, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's pretty hard to like make problems at a gas pump today that are safety related versus probably what it was 15, 20 years ago. And that's probably a lot of the challenge right now with electric charging is people they try to hook stuff up that they shouldn't, or they don't hook it up right, or they're using the wrong adapter, or they're trying to hook it up on a, Tesla network and it's not approved for that or whatever. And there's not really a standard, but that's just because we're early on. I mean, we'll get there, right? I mean, that's,
Yeah, Yeah, I think the adoption will happen like more and more, but I don't know a percentage. It's hard to say, you know.
Well, I think that it's going to be huge by 2030 myself. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Keith asked me a question on a past podcast about, do I think that we'll meet that 2035? Will we see gasoline engines go away or internal combustion engines go away by then? And absolutely not. We can't. We don't have the infrastructure to support that yet. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the other thing too is that I do believe that you have to realize that certain vehicles are purpose built that would require a combustion engine over an electric propulsion system. So I think that as we move along through this and we see more and more improvements with range, battery life, volatility, et cetera, those sorts of things, those questions will be put to sleep as far as
Yeah.
safety, viable, whatever down the stretch. And then you've got Tesla mentioning, entry level versions for price wise. GM's doing it. Ford, they're all doing it. So you're going to see models out there available to people that can afford them.
Mm-hmm.
When you start getting over $100,000 for a vehicle, obviously the average person is not going to spend that kind of money on it. But when you start backing off to say the $35,000 to $45,000 range, they'll jump all over it, in my opinion.
It's kind of the current luxury. Okay, so
it's interesting you say that it's like the current luxury. I get that. Yes,
well,
I agree with you.
My wife drives a Lexus, and my son, who's a car enthusiast, I have no idea where that came from, but he's like, Dad, this new some of the new Toyotas, not the luxury line Lexus, the new Toyotas they're better. Like they have better features in a brand new car than my wife's 3.5-year-old Lexus.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this homogenization that's happened. Like, Lincoln used to be and it's still a nicer car than a Ford, but there used to be these huge differences, like, the Grand Canyon in between them, of if you got a Lincoln, man, you got like air conditioning and leather seats and, all that stuff now is just like, you can get that on a Kia. No offense to Kia, but I mean, well, some of those are really nice now too. But my point is, yeah,
Hey,
I
man,
mean, and they've come a long way, but
I have a Hyundai, man.
I mean, Kia versus like Lincoln, there used to be like presidents rode in Lincolns or whatever. So, but on the EV side, I think the point I was trying to make before I pulled myself off track was there's a bigger difference, meaning you start at that entry level, the $35,000 entry level EV, you're not going to get anywhere near the quality build or all the features that you're going to get if you go 120.
Yeah.
The Lucids, the, whatever.
Yeah. I think the industry can really see growth if the manufacturers can find a way to get down to like that $35,000 to $45,000 range, but also be able to keep that like 300, that 290 to like 350 range in terms of battery life, right? Distance.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's from there, like, because right now the EVs that you can get that are at that $35,000 range, right? They're 220 miles of range, right?
Right.
It's,
Which realistically is like 160.
Driving conditions. Yeah, it's a reality.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
I think solid state battery technology is definitely going to be the answer to a lot of these issues that they're having, obviously, with range. I think it's going to be a game changer. Toyota has been one. Keith and I love to watch what Toyota's doing. They took a lot of flack over the early stages of this EV push for not coming out with electric vehicles, and they're in the background watching what everybody else is doing, and then all of a sudden they reframe everything, starting with the Tundra, and then the Tacoma, the 4Runner now, and then now they just released the new Land Cruiser, which is pretty amazing. And oddly enough, it's only going to have a hybrid engine in it. That's it. It's that 4-cylinder, I think it is. I think is what it was. If I read that 2.4 liter hybrid engine, I think in that. Yeah. Have you seen that, guys? Have you seen it? The new? Oh, it's amazing. It looks great. They've got it's called the 1958 model. And it's basically pays homage to the original because it entered the U.S. in 1958 for the first time. And it's got the round headlights. But then you've got the more modern versions, the TRD packages that have it's more of a beefier. It's built on that, I think, the Lexus platform, basically. It mirrors that, So what Toyota is doing, though, they are in the background developing battery technology, and they are said to have a battery technology that could get up to 900 miles of range.
Wow.
So when that will hit, I have no idea, but it's definitely different battery technology. I'll send you guys that article over on that. It's pretty interesting to read.
It's been just as the past 24 to 48 hours all over the news cycles. So it's, and Toyota is one that we always say on this very program. It's like, we promise you guys, they're not doing nothing. They were late, seemingly late to the EV game. Ford had their EV. I mean, everybody but Toyota, it seemed like. Yeah, you could get a hybrid. You could get a Prius hybrid, but they were late. But we just went, something doesn't add up. Like, they're working on something, and I think it seems like they're hedging their bet on second-gen battery technology is what it seems like.
Cybertruck. Give us some love on the Cybertruck. Tell us about the Cybertruck. I want to know, what do you guys think on the Cybertruck? Will you ruin? I want to hear it right here on our show.
Absolutely.
Will you ruin the Cybertruck?
So
yes, I love it.
We have a bunch of members that are already have the reservations in, and the cool thing I like about the Cybertruck is, half the people that mod it are going to lower it, and the other half are going to, raise it, lift it. So you're going to have that off-road section, and then you're going to have your lower truck section.
Previously established as ruined.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're really looking forward to it. I have a reservation. One of the early ones, I was actually at the event when he broke the window. So I saw that live. It was pretty cool. So
that was planned.
100%,
right?
100% planned. I mean, who knows? But I'm looking forward to getting one. I know a lot of our other members are, and it's going to be fun. I mean, hopefully they come out this year. It is rumored that they will have one at Austin. So a lot of the guys will get to see it there. Hopefully that's like their production model, because I don't think we've really even seen it yet. I mean, who knows? But we're excited.
I'm getting irritable about that topic. I feel like I need to see these on the street.
Right.
Man. I
they're
had
out
a Hummer
there.
EV pass me the other day, and I'm like, okay, now everybody else has got it out, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm personally seeing Rivians, the R1Ts, and I've seen a lot of R1Ss here lately, and I love what RJ is doing with Rivian. I love the product. I think it's
have
very
you guys
cool.
ruined one?
I actually took a ride in a F-150 Lightning the other day at DC. Love that. The Rivian, there was a whole group of them out there in the parking lot. I got a chance to check them out. I love that too. I'm kind of waiting on the Cybertruck for the price point to see what that looks like and kind of how that compares. But that's my next vehicle. I want an off-road vehicle next.
Did you see the wrapped version that was wrapped in F-150 body panel?
Oh,
So
I did see that.
Cybertruck.
Yeah.
The Cybertruck,
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty interesting what Elon's doing with the marketing here. Well, it remains to be seen what he's trying to prove there, but he was definitely trolling Ford because Ford trolled them. So
Yeah, and AJ, it's getting interesting in the overland space with EVs. So, if you end up going, like you said, you wanted an off-road vehicle, the Jeep stuff now is really, the battery range is it's 10 to 20 miles, right, of real just straight battery use. But there are companies like Optima Batteries who cleverly have designed and partnered with towable trailers that it's got your camping gear and your tent and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then the bottom is a big battery bay.
Oh.
And so you're perpetually charging the vehicle. I mean, you've got enough to charge the vehicle 2 or 3 times. And they're designed, they're big giant tires, made to go off. Those trailers are made to be pulled off road on trails. So there's some cool stuff happening to accommodate that. I guess range anxiety is the term. We go to a lot of national parks, and I gotta say, there are charging stations everywhere, in the middle of nowhere. You're Yellowstone, you're 100 miles from anything, and there's charging stations. So I'm not real worried about that part of it. But,
if we could just standardize the
right
charging stations across the board, I think that would resolve a lot of the the
Yeah.
anxiety issues, because pulling up to one and not being able to use it is a bummer. So
Yeah, I've met one guy, I forgot his name. He traveled the country. He was with a car show, Slammed Enough. It was the car show group that they tour around. He drove his car all over the country. Every state was his goal, I think 2 years ago in his Tesla. And he did it just fine. We have one of our members who drove from New York to Las Vegas for SEMA 2 years ago. Did it just fine. Me going down to DC, I charged once. I was good. And that charging only took 20 minutes. So went to the bathroom, got food, and then went back to my car, and that's it.
Well, if you're with my family, you don't have to worry. It's going to be, I mean, you kill at least 45 minutes just in the snack line.
Yeah.
I don't know what these people do, man. I'm like I have an 80-gallon gas tank in my RV, and that's not the fastest fill up in the world, and yet somehow I always finish before everybody that's going in for whatever it is in there. I don't know if it's like at the airport terminal where there's just a secret theme park in the back or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, 20 minutes is nothing. That's
What about you guys? Are you guys ready to jump into own an EV?
Oh, absolutely. I would buy
I would
one
do
in a
it.
heartbeat. Yeah. I have no qualms about that at all. I just want to wait for the next generation. Then, just give it some time on battery technology, and then I'll jump in.
I think the real question, like, I'm such a application specific, like, I want to buy stuff for, like I've got a Toyota FJ, like that's my, let's take it off. Like I actually will take it off road and we'll go out and camp. And so the question for me is, where does it fit, right? Is it my wife's car who just commutes, like 20, 30 miles a day? And is that the most practical use? Or do I go truck, right? Like you're talking about, AJ, like, do I just go something that I can, take off road? Or is it a, towed vehicle that I put behind the motorhome? By the way, did you guys know they've been doing this with Teslas? If you put them in reclamation or whatever, you're braking
Regen.
Yeah.
They flat tow them behind like a motorhome, and it'll just recharge your battery.
Oh. I didn't know that.
I mean, now
Almost, and depending on what speed, almost to supercharger
Wow.
speeds.
yeah. So I mean, I would do it. I mean, and I would even my 13-year-old, like as a first vehicle, I'd be fine with him having an EV. I'd limit the crap out of it so he can't because we all know what those things are capable of.
Yeah.
But I'd be otherwise fine with it.
Yeah. My oldest son has an F-150 Lightning reservation right now, but he also drives an old.
But qualify that. I mean, he's an adult. Like he's not.
He's in his 30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a geek, man. I mean, he's a total into it. He would fit perfectly into your club as a member because he likes to tear stuff apart and put it back together the way he wants it. So I need to reach out to him and say, dude, go talk to these guys and go ruin your Chevy Volt or whatever you got, man. He's got a Chevy Volt right now, so he loves it. I mean, he drives that thing all the time, but he really, really wants that F-150 Lightning. So
when I drove it, I kind of fell in love with it.
It's a nice vehicle, man.
Yeah.
And for me, from a marketing standpoint, from a practical usage, a pickup truck, you're used to seeing Ford F-150s look the way they look. GMC, the Sierras and all. You're used to the way they look. But Cybertruck just comes out of nowhere like a meteor, and leave it to Elon Musk, man, to build something like this that looks so futuristic. But my fear with that is that he's taken so long to get it to market, has some of that, fondness of the idea kind of worn off on some people, and are they losing reservation holders?
I mean, even if you lose 60% of the 1.5 million reservations, that's still 500,000 cars.
It's a lot of vehicles, right?
That's a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Interesting story. Like, so we're talking about trucks here. When I was actually picking my car that I was going to buy, it was actually between a Raptor and the Tesla.
And a Kia.
No, the Kia I had to. That's a whole nother story. It kind of goes back to like the value. No, it was the Raptor and the Tesla. And as soon as I drove the Tesla, I was like, I'm sold. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
My
two very, very different. Yeah, I've done crazy stuff like that too, though. People look at me and they go, "What? You realize those are two wildly
Right.
different?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
I'll tell you the Kia story though, because it is a little bit relatable to what you were talking about earlier around like having a Lexus versus like some other car, right? And the differences from now and then even the price differences, right? So we were looking for a family car, and we're expecting our second child. Back then, we were looking for a family car. So I was like, Model Y, Model Y, Model Y. My wife was like, no, CRV, CRV, CRV. And I'm like, well, Tesla is probably like a more luxurious name to it, right? To own a Tesla again.
Mhm.
And like, but the Tesla at the time, the Model Y was priced at like 48,000, 49,000, the one that we were looking at. And the CRV, we looked and it was like $32,000, right? But then you got to pay tax on that. In New Jersey, you don't have to pay sales tax on EVs. And then gas and whatever it came out to be, it actually on a monthly basis cost cheaper getting the Tesla Model Y versus the Honda CRV.
Oh, wow.
And we went back and forth, back and forth. Ultimately, Tesla started raising their prices, right? Inflation happened, prices went up, didn't make sense anymore. And so we got a Kia Telluride, which is what we both liked. So,
Which
and those are
they're nice, man.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the Kia of today is quite a bit different than the Kia of 15 years
oh
ago.
yeah, it's got all.
Yeah,
it's like
those
you
are-
hit the signals. It shows the side cameras, in your lanes. And
Oh,
it's got
man, you're-
suede roof, and it's got heated and AC front seats, captain seat. It's sweet.
They are dialed in, yes, absolutely. And they're beating everybody else in that demographic, like the family car game. They are killing it.
The new Hyundai Santa Fe that was just revealed is definitely a direct competitor to the Discovery. Basically, yeah. I mean, it is an awesome SUV, man, and it's huge. It's big. So, yeah, Hyundai and Kia both are doing what they're doing very well. I'm very impressed with their push into the EV market. They've got some really not with the Ioniqs and the EVs on the Kia side, some really great looking vehicles. I know someone here in town that owns one and one of the Kias, and it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful, and it's got all the bells and whistles on it. It's like, what do you think? So you've got some really big competitors out there that are already establishing their space.
Yep.
So the others that are the startups that are just sitting around, not really getting it done, are going to be going away. I think that the market's already starting to you're starting to see that a little bit.
Yeah.
With the mainstay that is. So it'll be interesting here, like I said, in 5 years to see who is still in it.
Yeah.
So,
And how many of those get ruined, right?
right.
So here, let me give out some socials. Jay, I'll give their stuff out, or I'll ask you guys to give your stuff out, and Jay, you can do ours
Okay.
if that's
Sure,
okay.
yeah.
And by the time this podcast airs, as we've established, folks can visit the website at ruin.cc. Is that right? Okay. RUINED.cc. Yeah,
That's right.
Okay. Wow. Spelling, not my strong point. Okay. And then if you want to see the work, and you guys are going to have various various vehicles at some of these Electrify Expo shows that are coming up. And I had a few minutes. I actually got my shit together and found out like where these locations were. So again, New York, August 12th and 13th, that's at the Nassau Coliseum. And then in Seattle, which is the one you're going to have the least amount of presence at, but we'll be there. So again, we're going to do cardboard cutouts or whatever. That's September 9th and 10th. And then Miami, which I will have the cardboard cutout. Jay, October 14th and 15th. And then the last one of the year, August,
I gotta order one now.
Austin, November 10th through the 12th, which is one of the longer ones. It's a 3-day deal.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your biggest attendance for you guys. And that's at Circuit of the Americas. And man, I cannot wait to see some of this stuff in person. Are there any other socials you guys want to give out that, just throw them out there?
Yeah. I mean, our Instagram is ruin.ev. Mine is JRZY_M3P. CJ, you got one?
Mine's a Casper_Model 3.
Yeah.
Right.
I do want to actually thank someone, and Neil and his expo team and show off team have been so gracious to us and allowing us to be a part of, showcasing our vehicles and everything. We love the event. Me personally, I think it's the best event that I've ever been to throughout the 20 years that I've been doing car shows and things like that. But I also want to thank Yokohama for partnering with us on these show-off events. They've allowed us to help represent their brand, be at the stage with them, and in their booths. So both actually Yokohama and Meguiar's, which, two iconic brands in the industry, right? Showing their support for EVs. Hopefully others will follow. So really appreciate that from both of those companies.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome. And yes, everyone, again, listening, it's electrifyexpo.com.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell people where they could actually go get
find
the
that
tickets.
out. Yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of Neil, Neil, thank you so much for this connection as well. Also,
man, the people, like, that's just really the key is,
people, man.
The man, just the good people that are putting themselves and their life's work into this revolution, and just knowing that our paths all overlap, and man, it all comes back around. And I think we kind of picked up on that with you guys too. Sorry, Jay, you had a point?
Well, no, I didn't have a point. I was just going to say we need to let these guys know that you and I are the ones that came up with the kicks contest, the shoe contest. So
oh, really?
Okay, so like this is another one of my like the runt thing. Like I'm a little, Neil, if you watch this, we need to talk, my brother. I'm a little. I feel like I didn't get the call out. Okay, so we were doing a podcast with Neil, and somebody, Jay or I, and like I said, we get each other confused all the time, brought up the shoe thing because I've gotten into the shoe collecting. And I guess I showed up at an event, and Neil was there, and I had some crazy shoes on. And so Neil was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of getting into it." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Let's have a like a shoe show off or a shoe contest at the show, right?" And they're freaking doing it now, and I wasn't invited.
The very next show they did it. I saw the first winner. I'm like, man, Anyway, it's great. It's great to be.
Yeah.
It's honored to be an idea. That is.
Yeah.
Well, now you just got to wear the shoes to Seattle, and then you.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. I'll be wearing my Vans. I don't know what
I'm
Keith
gonna show
will
up
be
with
wearing,
shoes on my head in protest.
I actually made some custom Converse that like had all the show off colors. Yeah, it's upstairs. I don't want to run and get it, but because I know we're recording here. But
well, send us a picture,
Yeah.
and we'll attach it in. In fact, I can magically do some stuff in post that would
I'll send you a picture. I didn't wear them though. I ended up wearing some old Nikes that I had that are pretty rare. But
well, that's the whole other discussion is, do I ever do they touch pavement?
Right.
And, yeah.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to give out some socials on our end, guys. This podcast will be out very soon. If you're hearing it, obviously it's out. But to hear this, if you're audio only, you can go to our website at partscounterguru.com and just click on the podcast tab, or you can go to your favorite platform. We're on every one. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, you name it. We're iHeartRadio, Amazon, you name it. We're on all of them. For those of you that are into the visual side of things, we have our podcast tab on our YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/PartsCounterGurus. And just look at the Counter Show podcast tab, and you'll find this show there. Socials, we're on all of them. We're on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/PartsCounterGurus. Instagram, we are at Instagram. We're at The Counter Show, and we are also now on Threads. Keith, you do not know this, but we're using the same handle, Threads. We are at PartsCounterGurus.com. Right. Yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
I did not.
Yeah, some new fancy platform like we don't have enough, right?
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, we're on TikTok as well. What are we over on TikTok? Parts Counter Gurus?
I don't know.
I think so.
Just go to our website and click on the TikTok button.
You'll find everything on our website. Go to partscounterguru.com, guys. So there you have it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule. Keith and I have thoroughly enjoyed having you on, and I will say this today. This invite will always be open for you guys to come on. If you got some new things happening that you want to get out there in the world of the automotive industry or any specific world that you want to be on, strange new worlds, whatever,
And events, man.
Events,
We are all about getting together and doing some content at these various, like, whatever they are, trade shows, events. You have it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in person. Thank you guys for laughing at my jokes.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. This was a lot of fun, like a lot more fun than I expected. So this was awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank
good.
you.
I like to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for that. Keith, you want to take us out, friend?
All right. So for you new guys in the room, I try to always impart some sort of inspirational remark at the end. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're
great
motivational.
one.
It just,
Great
just
one.
depends, right? Yeah. No, not that. But I don't know. I just feel like it's good to end on a high note, right? The last thing you hear, kind of, right? So, because you always remember the last song at the last concert you're at. All right. So this one is for you guys, and it's a kind of an old adage. I find that the harder I work, the more luck I have. And I think you guys are really lucky right now in the sense that you've worked very, very hard to get where you are, that those awards behind you, AJ, are no, that's exemplary of that, right? So you guys are extremely lucky. And by that, I mean, I know you guys are busting your tails and you've worked really hard to get where you are. And we're looking forward to seeing more of that out of you guys. And we just can't wait to see where this all goes. So remember that, everybody. The harder you work, the luckier you are. All right. For the Ruin crew and my pal Jay over there, I'm Keith. Thank you guys for watching and listening. We will see you on the next one.